Good morning, I'm Tom Elliott. It's Tuesday, 22nd of February, and this is my market report. Well, stocks are weaker this morning. No real surprise. Although the American markets were closed last night for President's Day, European markets were down. Now, they're down for two reasons. First is that China has attempted to bring its banks' lending down. Now, it hasn't increased interest rates again, but it's requiring its banks to hold greater liquidity, which is a way of reducing loan volumes. That's potentially negative for the Chinese economy. As a result, European stocks fell. Secondly, of course, we've got all the unrest that's happening in North Africa, in particular Libya. This has sent the oil price up quite dramatically. It was up almost $6 a barrel overnight to 92 US. Many people think if the unrest continues, it will go back through the $100 mark that we haven't actually seen for quite some time. In the local market, well, a bit of a mixed bag. Oil stocks, understandably, are up. So Woodside stronger, Origin, Santos, Oil Search, all the companies that seem to benefit from a higher oil price. Also, BHP is up very strongly this morning, and that's got a little bit to do with oil, but a lot to do with the fact that BHP has announced a $5 billion buyback of its own shares. It's a very efficient way of returning excess cash to shareholders. It does involve franking credits, and for the next few days, you can buy BHP shares and sell a proportion of them into the buyback for a very large fully franked dividend, which appeals especially to superannuation funds in Australia. However, the rest of the market is down. Now, in corporate activity, it's very interesting also what happened yesterday. Kerry Stoke has announced quite a complicated deal to vend the unlisted Channel 7 television network into the listed West Australian newspapers. Now, Kerry Stokes owns a stake in WAM, and obviously he also owns half of the 7 network. The other half is owned by private equity giant KKR. This has already been approved by West Australian Newspapers Board, including its independent directors. Shareholders will get a chance to vote on it, so it's not a done deal. And investors will remember just a year ago when Kerry Stoke's other listed player, which is confusingly called 7 Group Holdings, but isn't actually the 7 network anymore, he convinced people to merge it with his Westrac Caterpillar business, that is Caterpillar earth-moving equipment. So Kerry Stokes is now concentrating all of his media holdings as much as he can in West Australian newspapers. The stock is suspended. It's going to do a very large capital raising to help pay for the purchase of the 7 network. And we're seeing the final throes of media consolidation in Australia here. On the Channel 10 board, you've got Lachlan Murdoch. My prediction is he's going to push Channel 10 to buy DNG Radio, which is the Nova and what used to be called the Vega networks on the East Coast. You've got, of course, West Australian newspapers, as I just mentioned, looking like it's now going to buy the 7 network. And there are plans for Channel 9, which was bought privately a couple of years ago by another private equity company, for it to be floated back on the exchange within the next 3 to 6 months. So we'll see how that goes. I've got to say personally, I'm a bit negative on the outlook for free-to-air TV. I think the challenge of the internet and pay TV is going to make it a less profitable place to be than was the case, say, 10 years ago. Still, we will wait and see. Traffic red light camera company Redflex. If you've ever received a fine in the mail for speeding or going through a red light, chances are that Redflex installed a camera that snapped you. They've received a takeover bid from 2 private equity groups, one of which is Macquarie Bank. It's $2.70 a share. The bid, it looks likely, will probably go ahead. The stock is trading around $2.60 a share. And just finally, back to mining, Fortescue chief Andrew Forrest, he's the chairman of the company. He's affectionately known as Twiggy. He built the company from nothing and has made himself one of the wealthiest people in Australia as a result. ASIC looks like stripping him of the right to be a director. That includes of his own company, Fortescue. The comments he made back in 2004 as to whether or not an actual deal had been signed with Chinese interests. Why ASIC is pursuing this is beyond me. Anybody who bought Fortescue shares several years ago is just revelling in how much money they've made now, and Andrew Forrest has made himself and many other investors very, very rich. For ASIC to go after in this way when really no one has lost out, to me seems absurd, but then again, that's our financial regulator for you.